synchronicities are the natural flow of life. If you're just tapped into, like I said, an intention, a very clean energy around something, you will be led there. Welcome to the Miracle Frequency Podcast. Welcome back. Today we are talking about synchronicities are the natural flow of life. They are not unusual, they are not rare, they are the natural order, they are the natural flow. So we're going to go deep into this, but before we do, I also have another little announcement. For the first time, I am recording this as a video podcast. So all the podcasts will now be available on YouTube. I won't necessarily record them all as video, but I will upload them all there. For anyone that's visual, you can tune in there. So we'll see how I go. If you're visual, you can see me just sitting in my armchair, riffing in my office. But what I do want to say is if you are watching this, you'll notice that sometimes I'll close my eyes, sometimes I'll look off into the distance. And that's very much because I feel like these are channeled. These are connecting, directly to source, allowing the information to flow through me. And so sometimes I find that easier to do when I'm sort of just, not looking at a screen, not looking at myself on a screen, but with my eye closed, just allowing it to flow through. So I can't promise it will be riveting viewing, but for those of you that like to see me and don't know me, perhaps, here you go. So synchronicities are the natural flow of life. Before we dive into that though, let's just talk about coincidence, right? In my opinion, coincidences don't exist. That word only exists to explain what a synchronicity is for those that are unaware of what they truly are. So what I mean by that is that people think, oh my God, wasn't that a coincidence that I was just thinking about her and she rang? No, it wasn't. It was a synchronistic event because that's the natural flow of life. So I've got the definition here of a coincidence. A remarkable occurrence of events or circumstances without apparent causal connection. So here's the thing, apparent causal connection. So this is how someone explains a synchronicity that doesn't understand what the connection is. So the connection is that we are all connected. We are all energetically connected. We are all part of the same source energy. We are all part of the same field. We are all part of the same consciousness. The divine consciousness flows through all of us and we are all connected through it. We are all a part of that. And this moment is the only moment that exists. So all the moments of your life, what you call future and past, exist here and now in this moment. It's just your awareness is connected to this particular one you're experiencing, but they're all connected. So a synchronicity is simply connected events that are connected occurrences. Actually, I do have the meaning of synchronicity here too. The simultaneous occurrence of events which appear significantly related but have no discernible causal connection. Well, the causal connection is this energetic frequency that runs through all of us. So let's talk about how we can create more synchronistic events in our life to guide us, right? Because I have synchronistic events happen daily, and it's wild and it's amazing, and I absolutely love it. And the more you have synchronistic events happen, the more you're flowing with the flow of life, the river of life, the easier life becomes, right? And the more you trust it, the more you tune into it, the more of it you experience. So I'm just going to talk about, let me just mention one little thing that happened this morning. My daughter stayed home from school today. She had a sore eye, but I went to take the dog for a walk and was leaving her at home. Now she's almost 10. It's fine for her to be home by herself for a little bit. But I just, before I left, and I've left her at home before, obviously. Before I left, I just, got this download to say to her, if the doorbell rings, don't answer it, just ignore it, don't answer it, right? Now, when I've gone out before, I haven't always said that. Today, I said that. And guess what happened? The doorbell rang, freaked her out a little bit. She was a bit worried, but she didn't answer it. And so this is how, these are just the little things that guide us. Not big things, right? Not big things, but there obviously there's this connection there that I knew that the doorbell would ring. And so something within me, right, this source connection, knew that the doorbell was going to ring. And so I reassured her that it was okay and just to ignore it before it happened, right? so many things happen daily, and I'll share some more fantastic examples and amazing examples, but let's talk about what synchronicities, or how to bring more of them into our life. Because, well, actually, let me share a beautiful example from a few years ago, because this shows you the magic of how we create more synchronistic events in our life. So the core of how we create them is having really clean energy and intention around something, right? Having a very clear energy around something. So I want to share this example with you so it really demonstrates how that works. So several years ago, I was meant to be having dinner with a very close girlfriend. We hadn't probably seen each other 6 to 12 months. We hadn't seen each other for a while, but we used to be absolute besties, used to live together, used to work together. We're very, very close. We'd sort of drifted apart a little bit, but we were meant to be having dinner this evening, and she had been going through IVF, and she was finding out that day whether or not she was pregnant. And she received the news that earlier that day that in fact she wasn't, and so she cancelled the dinner. She didn't feel like going out. I totally get that. She was disappointed. She was upset. But I was talking to my partner, and I was saying, oh my God, I wish I could be there for her. Like, we used to be so close. I really feel for her. She didn't have a partner. She was doing it by herself. And I was really tapped into the emotion and feeling the emotion of rekindling with her, rekindling the friendship, being there for her, like just really feeling for her. And then, got on with our evening. The next morning, I went for a walk around Centennial Park, which is a beautiful park in Sydney, and I often did that. And walked around the park, and then I was getting a coffee after my walk, and guess who I bumped into? Who's also buying a coffee before she starts her walk? That dear friend that, that I was meant to have dinner with the previous evening. So we sit down, we have our coffees, and we just rekindle, we reconnect. She shares. It's the perfect environment. It's like there's no pressure. We're just in the park, and so it's a safe space for her to just share and reconnect. So that's how synchronistic events occur. So it's having a very clean energy around something, tapping into the emotion of it, feeling the excitement of it, whatever it is, just setting an intention for, setting an intention for what you want. And it doesn't even have to be a conscious intention. It can just be you see something that activates something within you, and there's a very clean energy around it. Now, what I mean by clean energy is, and I'm going to share another example as I share this, is that when you see something, for example, and it activates some excitement in you, and then that's it, right? That's it. That's a very clean energy. When you see something that excites you and you go, oh my God, wouldn't that be amazing? Oh, but that can't ever happen to me. Or you confuse the energy with a disbelief, the opposite, right? Not some sort of doubt, fear, negativity. You cloud the energy. It's no longer a clean energy. So several years ago, I saw somebody that I was friends with on Facebook posted that they were on the cover of Brains magazine, and I was writing articles for this magazine. And I saw her on the cover. I was like, oh, wouldn't that be amazing to be on the cover, right? It's like, oh my God, that'd be so exciting to be on the cover. That was it. That was it. That was my reaction to that. And I, moved on. Guess what happened within about a week? They reached out to me and said, hey, we would love to put you on the cover, right? It is clean energy. I saw something, it activated something within me, and that then is the causal effect for the chain of events, right? That's leading you down that path. The universe doesn't judge, or this field doesn't judge. There is no worthiness. There is no whether or not you deserve it. It's always saying yes. So when you say, oh my God, I love that, yes, the universe matches that. This frequency matches that. It's not going, oh, but you can't, because it's just matching that. So how we create more, or how we allow more synchronistic events in our life is, one, just to have clean energy around things, right? Whether it's an intention, a thought, clean energy around it, which really comes to the second part, is what that means is no contradiction, no judgment, right? Letting go of doubts, fears, disbeliefs, judgment of what is, right? And so what that means is, let's say you have an intention around wanting to make more money in your business, but then you have so many thoughts around but it's too hard for me. I can't do that. It hasn't happened before. All of those things, right? I'm sure we've all experienced those doubts and fears. That energy is clouding, is absolutely clouding and, interfering with your desires, right? The universe can't deliver anything outside of what you your core energy, right? Your core energy. If you're conflicting with all the doubts and fears, then you're clouding the energy. So we need to, first of all, like I said, have clean energy. Second of all, like I said, be open, not judging. And really the last part of it is trusting the flow of life and allowing yourself to be led, right? And this comes also through to not judging. So when you receive an idea, some sort of pull, it's trusting those things. It's not judging them. It's not telling yourself, oh, like if you get an idea to, let's say you had this you were thinking today, I'm going to sit down in my business and write a whole lot of content. And then you just felt the pull to take the afternoon off and watch a movie. Then that is the thing to do, right? It's when you judge, oh no, but I have to do all of this stuff. I should do all of this stuff. That's blocking the flow. That's blocking the synchronistic events that are lining up for you, right? And actually, I'm going to share something around that. So I was doing a meditation the other day and the thought just dropped in, there is no spoon, right? You might think that's a random thought, but for those of you that have seen The Matrix, you might know what I'm talking about. There's this scene where Neo is talking to this child when he goes to visit the Oracle in the movie. This is my favorite movie. So it's my favorite spiritual movie. So for those of you that haven't seen it, or I'm sure everyone's seen it, but for those of you that don't realize, because I didn't at the time when I first watched it, it is a deeply spiritual movie. And actually, I'm thinking that I will do an episode all about the movie, because there are so many incredible insights and I love it. So anyway, I got this, it dropped in, there is no spoon. So what does that mean? Neo is talking to this child and this child is holding a spoon and he's bending this spoon and just with, his intention, his mind. And Neo's sort of looking at him curious. He's like, don't try and bend the spoon with your mind. Instead, just try and remember that there is no spoon, right? This physical reality is a projection. It's not physically real. It's 99.999% empty space or energy and only 0.0001% matter. So that just dropped in during this meditation. And then the next day on social media, I saw someone post that exact scene, right? And then interestingly enough, I love how all this works. Yesterday I had about 5 attempts to record this podcast because I'm doing something new. It's a bit of a new setup. I installed this software on my computer, but I realized my computer didn't have automatic updates switched on. So I had to do these updates and it took hours because my internet kept cutting out. So eventually I actually just gave up on trying to record the podcast. And so I went and watched The Matrix. And as I watched it, it just, the teachings, the lessons just integrated deeper. It was, so that's what I did with my afternoon yesterday, right? It wasn't what I intended, but I absolutely loved it. It was like, I just felt more shifts coming through. And like I said, this is how synchronicities happen. It's like one thought, one intention, one download, one thing that leads to another. So, I received this in a meditation, then I saw it on social media. Then, yesterday I watched the movie. Like, even if we don't understand the why, our mind doesn't need to understand the why. We just need to trust the flow, right? Trust the flow and trust that it is all unfolding. And as you do this more and more, and as you stop questioning and judging, like, is this right? Is this wrong? Should I do this? Should I do that? As you let all of that go and trust the flow of life, you allow things to unfold for you in beautiful ways and through incredible synchronicities. I'm going to share another little one. And this is how, for all things in your life, you can allow the natural synchronistic flow to lead you. So just having, like I said, a clear intention about the things that you do want without attachment, without neediness, it unlocks the flow of events that leads you to them. So I'm just going to share about 2 little things. The other weekend, I went to a shopping center, had to get a few things. One of those things was I wanted a little V-neck low impact sports bra to go under a top that I had. And I went to a couple of places and tried things on and they weren't right. And then I felt the pull to go into H&M, and I went to where I thought they had their sports section, and they didn't have a sports section, but they had an underwear section there, and I saw the perfect little crop. I just wanted something low impact for when I was doing weights, so it doesn't have to be super supportive, and it was perfect, a little pull-on crop V-neck. I bought 2 of them. I was like, done, easy, perfect. As I was walking out, I saw their sale rack, and something caught my eye, this little white sparkly thing. And something else that I had an intention for was that I wanted to do a little mini photo shoot, where I was going to do a little mini photo shoot for the cover of the Miracle Frequency podcast, relaunching something new. It just felt like needed fresh energy, needed a fresh image. And my intention was that I kind of wanted a pale gold sparkly top. I had this sort of vision in my mind, and it was sort of pale gold. I sort of, wanted a bit of sparkle, nothing over the top, but just, I knew it was only going to be a profile shot. I just wanted a little bit of sparkle. And so that was what was in my mind. And I'd searched online. I tried to find something. I'd ordered something. It was wrong. And then I decided I'll just wear something from my wardrobe. I've got a couple of white tops. They'll be fine. But as I walked out of H&M, I noticed this little white sparkly thing on the rack, and it was a strapless white sequined top, and it was absolutely perfect. $8 on the sale rack. And that was what I used for the front cover for the little photo shoot. It was perfect. It just is a little bit of texture, a little bit of sparkle, not too much. So here's the thing, is that when you have the essence of your desire and you're not too fixated on what it actually is, Source, Universe knows how to bring you what is actually best for you. Now, I'm using a very simple thing like a top as the example because I'm sure you can relate to it. Of course, it also happens with much bigger things, but I had a vision for the sort of feeling or energy I wanted for the photo, right? In my mind, that was a gold top. But of course, my mind is always limited because it's based on the past. And actually, the reason I had thought a gold top is this is another photo from a past shoot where I had a gold dress on, and I thought I kind of want to, re-emulate that sort of feeling. So in my mind, which is limited by the past, it was a gold top. But the essence of what I wanted was just a little bit of sparkle, a little bit of pizzazz, something to just, I don't know, have a bit of sparkly energy on the cover of the podcast. And the universe knew that this was going to be a better option, right? This white sparkly top. I mean, like I said, it's not a life-changing thing, but it is how we are led. So I wasn't stressing about having the right top. I did search for it, but I just trusted that it would all be okay. So when we can be in a deep place of trust and knowing that things are unfolding for us, the synchronistic events will just flow daily, right? And like I said, these come through things coming into our awareness, little intuitive pulls, so many different ways that these can unfold. But synchronicities are the natural flow of life. If you're just tapped into, like I said, an intention, a very clean energy around something, you will be led there, right? You will be led there and things will line up for you, right? Things will line up for you. I mean, I know I've shared on the podcast probably a couple of times how, when I sort of, parked my business and was doing some work for someone else, that work was drying up, and then the next thing fell into place. I wasn't trying to force it. I wasn't trying to push it. I was allowing it to unfold. I knew that I would be guided, right? Because we all are. We all are. And in fact, I will do an episode quite soon on letting go of control, because I know that this is the biggest block to allowing the flow of life, is feeling like you need to control the circumstances in order to control the results or the outcomes. And the fundamental problem with that is that your mind believes that it actually knows what's best for you, where in fact it does not. Your soul, your consciousness, source knows what is actually going to be a match for your highest timeline, right? Or the highest frequency, the highest outcome, best outcome for every area of your life. Source already knows that, and it's not what your mind thinks. Generally, it's not what your mind thinks. So even this example, like I said, with the with the sports crop top and the other top, like I was looking in sports stores, right? And I've got plenty of sports bras and they're like really supportive, but I just wanted something a bit more relaxed and not, a bit more, like I said, just for low impact, just didn't have, wasn't so tight and feeling restrictive. So Source knew that the best thing wasn't going to be in a sports store. It was going to be in an underwear section. And Source also knew that it wasn't a gold top that was going to be perfect for my podcast cover. It was going to be this white sparkly one, right? But allowing things to unfold is when the synchronicities and the magic lines up in the most perfect way. So when I found that little white sparkly top for the photo shoot, I was doing the photo shoot that afternoon. So I was in the shopping centre that morning on my way to the hairdresser to get some of this chopped off and, to get it done nicely for the little shoot. And then I was having the shoot that afternoon. So I only found the top that morning. If I'd been freaking out or stressing or worried about it, I wouldn't have had the same result. But it's about absolute trust that the flow of life is guiding you there, unattachment to the outcome, and allowing it to flow through you, because it always will. So synchronicities are the natural flow of life. There are no coincidences. When you think about someone and then they call, that is that synchronicity, right? That is your energetic frequencies connecting. I want to share just a really quick story before we wrap up. My partner's not really into all of this stuff, but there was this one time where for some reason he felt pulled to go and look in his junk mail, right? Which he never really does. And in there he found an email from a very old friend that he had gone to school with, I think, so I'm talking decades ago. And that person, I think, had moved to Sydney and, wanted to connect. And it blew his mind. He couldn't believe it. He couldn't believe that he was pulled to this day, for whatever reason, was pulled to look in his junk mail and saw that email there, right? But this is how the universe works. It's lining up these synchronistic events so that life unfolds in a very easy way for us, right? When we follow the flow, it's always leading us there. So I'm going to leave you with that. I will see you on the next episode. Bye for now.